Welcome to the Big Bun Game Club theme song. All right, there we go. That's. I know you guys didn't hear it, but the stream probably heard it, so it's fine.
We were spared the
hit
torture.
record. How do I say that? Perigzy says hit record.
Or he's saying hit record, like I start hit record, which I don't do. I just kind of like download the VOD and then I go from there usually because I am terrified of streaming and recording at the same time, so I just don't do that.
Why? What happens?
I don't know. I feel like my
Well, he has a Mac, so
yeah, like that sucks.
I mean, I'm sure I could do it, but I don't know. Yesterday, it kind of like blew my mind. I couldn't talk to Retro and watch a conference at the same time.
Yeah, how about that fucking conference, huh? That was shit. The only thing to get excited about was 7-year-old Persona games.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It had like a cool game from like H.R. Geiger or whatever. Scorn looked really good. I was hyped for. I love like H.R. Geiger alien ships. Like fuck yeah.
I'll say the whole thing was worth it just to see Theo flip out. Cause okay, wait, explain this to me. Oh, why is Persona 3? Why is that the bad version? Like, what's the difference?
Okay, this will be the diatribe that Skullgirls is supposed to be.
Right, though.
No, because Persona 3 Portable is the worst version they could have picked. So there's Persona 3 FES, which came out on the PlayStation 2. It's like it's like a enhanced version of Persona 3, which rebalanced the fusions, rebalanced the game. They added a lot of stuff that was quality of life at the time. They also added an epilogue called The Answer, which I've talked about a lot of times. But the cutscenes and the story, the way it's delivered, is all done through like cutscenes and animated video as well. But the other thing is that the overworld, when you're doing like the S-Link stuff, or just going to town or whatever, you have a character you move around. The PSP version, the story is completely told as a visual novel, so there's no cutscenes, there's nothing. It's literally just like, like it describes what's happening, then it's just the character in front of like the camera saying, "Oh, that sucks." Like whatever. Like there's a comparison, for example, like it has in the PS2 version, it has the main character like, you know, I don't care about the story for Persona 3, Charles, obviously, but at this point in the game, like, the main character is, like, dying or whatever, so, like, it's this emotional scene where, like, it shows, like, the character, weak, just, like, lying down, and has, like, has another character, like, saying, "Oh, I've learned a lot from you," and blah, blah, blah. The PSP version is just the character portrait, just in the center of the screen, saying that, so everything that's there is gone.
Okay. So it sounds like they just completely killed all of like the cutscenes and everything.
Yeah, because it was a PSP game.
PlayStation Portable?
Yeah. And the other thing is that when you go through the overworld, it's not even like you're not controlling a character, you're controlling a cursor. So you're kind of like moving a cursor around a map.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with that because I think the overworlds in Persona are pointless.
I mean,
Yo, ban him right now.
No, I'll say that. I'll say this much. When I played Persona 3 Portable was my first Persona game I played. My first true like Persona game, because my first one was Persona 4 Arena. So I played Persona 3 Portable, and I was a little like, oh, the overworld is a cursor. Oh, that sucks. Oh, fuck this. And I was like dreading, like, oh, if I go to the dungeons and it's that, fuck that. But then you go to the dungeons, you go to Tartarus, and it's actually like the original game. So that part, I was like, okay, I can look over the overworld being a map, because the dungeons that are the important part is actually like you're controlling a character and you're doing all that kind of stuff. So I was fine. It's just the story, because Persona 3 FES is the most, like, weirdest animation I have ever seen, that I was like, I can't, it feels very avant-garde for what it is. It was so cool, and this collection just not having that is like, you might as well just not release it. And and Charles, you'll hate this too, by the way, because they added another main character, which is the female main character. There's an S-Link where she kind of has she dates a elementary school kid, and it's the weirdest S-Link. No one likes it. Everyone's like, dude, she's like grooming a child. Like, why is this in the game? And it's like, what?
Persona, all of them have questionable stuff.
Yeah, but that's like more egregious though, because it's a little child versus like, okay, well at least they're in the same age range. I mean, this one's like, all right, he's going to 5th grade, you're going to high school. It's like, wait, what?
Sounds
Yeah,
awful.
but that quality of life where you can control your party, though, dudes.
I would be willing to trade that for FES because as much as you would hate a AI controlled party, I find it a little endearing because it makes the win when you beat a boss like more like, hell yeah, you all came together, even though like I get it, it's a whatever thing, but I
Even though
would
it was just
I would
Marin
still
Karen's
prefer
fam.
FES. You just have to turn it to like you have to go through tactics menu. I mean, come on. I've had Mitsuru in my party. She never spammed Marin Karen until like the very end of the game. She's like, I'm gonna do it. It's like, god damn it, Mitsuru, you were doing so well at disproving everyone.
Yeah, that seems like a weird choice. I feel like just going through with not having cutscenes is it sounds like they won't do that. Like to just port the portable version over.
Yeah, like,
but I guess we'll see.
Because I think this Alice is one of the most like the latest version of that game to be in this collection, and Persona 3 Portable unfortunately is the latest version, so it's like, yeah, I'll go with this. I was just kind of hoping some kind of creative resolution, like have the male main character be FES, and then have the female main character be just the portable gameplay. Like I would be fine with that. I'd accept that, but it's like, no.
I think there might be some type of improvements or something in it, because if you rewatch the little trailer where they announced the 3 of them, there's actually anime Persona 3 cutscenes included. Now, I don't know if they were added into it, or I don't know if there was like an opening or something in Persona 3 Portable, because I haven't turned it on in like 10 years. But
the one that they show the 2 characters like going upside down, whatever, that's in the opener when you open the game, and it plays that Burn Your Dread or whatever. It's the opener. So it's no. They might maybe have anime cutscenes for like the beginning and ending of the game, maybe, but I don't think they're doing anything more than that.
All right. Well, we should start Game Club now, but you got to do the intro. You got to set the scene.
All right. Okay.
Like, imagine someone that hasn't watched this ever is watching. You got to welcome them. You got to tell them what we're doing. You gotta do all that. Come on, man.
Welcome to Big Bun Game Club, a podcast that initially was actually a thing I did on the side, just as a single man show. Like, oh, I'm gonna talk about the game I beat. Oh, and everyone loved it so much. Charles contacted me and said, I want to do Game Club. Enough of this one man show. That's dumb. No one's doing that anymore, you fucking dino. I'm like, okay, fine, okay. I let him on, and then Charles roped in Retro in on this. So we're all talking about games. We're all, we played video games, surprisingly enough. And this week we've been playing Shadow of the Colossus, as you can see right here. I got the definitive version of it. It's the best one of the game. And
it's on PC.
It should go on PC. I do want more people to play that version, but whatever. However, Retro, though he has played this game, we did not task him to play this game. We tasked him to play the sequel to this game, which I guess we get into as we go on this video with Aiko. So I'm Theo. The guy above me this way is Charles. That's Retro.
Oh, over there. I love how Theo gave a whole goddamn history lesson.
Well, you did force him to give a proper intro to someone who's never seen it before.
Yeah, exactly.
He does the intro fine every other time, but he's like, he just forgot. I think it's because there's 2 or 3 people on. It's too much to keep track of.
It's this one of those things. Like I go in expecting one thing, and then I get thrown for a loop. I kind of think of something else. It was like that one time where Charles came over. I wasn't expecting him to come over, and I was like, oh shit. that was wild. I set up the stream. I look out the window. I just see Charles is in my driveway. I'm like, oh god, he's actually here.
Just Gamer John needs an intro too. Just Gamer John's in the chat.
Lights, camera, me.
All right. He got it. He got his little sound clip to play, but Just Gamer John is here. He is he's a chatter. He's not a
He's just a
VIP,
game-
unfortunately. Maybe someday he will be a VIP, but not right now.
But yeah, so Retro is so funny. So we just wanted him to, and he loves Shadow of the Colossus, so we wanted to do a little report on Ico. So what do you think, Retro? I want to hear what your thoughts are. I actually started playing it.
You did it. You started after you finished.
Yeah.
Shadow of the Colossus, right? Okay, but so with Ico, everyone probably knows it already. It's Fumito Ueda's technically his third game, and Shadow of the Colossus being his fourth. It's kind of iconic in a way. It stands out as a completely different artsy game. Back when now every indie game is an artsy game, but back then it wasn't so much the case. And when I sat down to play Eco, like these two crazy people tasked me to do, I decided to do it like a true European retro gamer and boost out my fancy PS2 copy, which is here in Europe, has a big fancy art stuff all over the place.
Oh my god, you should see the American version of that game. Have you seen the cover for the American Ico?
I don't believe I have.
Oh my god, it's awful. It's like a shitty 3D render of the main character looking at the camera. It's so fucking ugly. And
Yeah, it's
you'd love this. It comes with like all the art cards and stuff with it too. This is the Shadow of the Colossus over here actually comes in an edition like this as well, which I also have. But yeah, so I sat down to play this on a big fancy professional grade CRT, and I booted up my PS2. So I'm gonna post a picture of that in Discord as I say this right now. And yeah, I sat down and I was going to play it in 50 hertz just because of Charles and his slander of what we have here. And I started that. And however, this disc is a bit too scratched, so I had to get my PS3 and play the remastered version of it.
Oh no!
Little bit of a sad on that one. But anyway, with Eco, it's kind of like Shadow of the Colossus in the way that they throw you right into it and tell you practically nothing. You get a quick 30-second cutscene right at the start of the game, which explains nothing except maybe someone's name. And there you go. Tio, you would love it. There's no tutorial in this game, so you could start at any point and not have to do a tutorial. So you don't have to worry about skipping one. You could easily do this.
You know,
not
I
do a
saw
tutorial.
the beginning of Shadow of the Colossus. There's really, it's not a real tutorial. It's just like, oh, okay, it's stuff that I got
buttons
from nothing. So it's whatever. It's not a real tutorial. You made it sound as if they put you in a little training area and it's like, all right, do this. No, you just press buttons and that's it. It's like, okay, I can just do that by looking at the controller screen. So
that's pretty much it. But there's not so much to Eco because the mechanics in it are actually very basic. Essentially, you're a little random dude with horns, not explained really too much, and you have someone to escort to safety. You're periodically attacked by random black shadows, which I don't know if it's just that I didn't notice it until I got really, really close to the end, but they start looking a lot like your main character, your actual controllable character, in the sense that the shadow dudes start getting horns a little bit later in the game. I don't know if I didn't notice that they had them at the start, but I definitely noticed it right at the end of the game, at least anyway. So combat, there is some combat in it. It's fairly basic. There's three weapons that I found at least anyway. I'm assuming that's all of them. And it's just basically prevent your other character that you escort from dying. That's essentially it. She'll be pulled into, they'll try kidnap her. If you don't rescue her in time, it's game over. But it also incorporates a decent amount of exploration. It's kind of linear to an extent. A lot of the time you'll find there's only one or two places to go, but it does take you over a bit of nice vistas, nice camera angles, camera views, all over the pretty funky looking architecture of whatever castle or anything you're in. Now, at the very start of the game, like I said, there's only like 30 seconds of intro. They don't tell you pretty much anything. And there's no English in the sense that the other character that you're with, the only time she talks, it's in a completely different subtitles that look like, I don't know, hieroglyphics or something like that. So you can't actually understand her. So trying to guide her through some puzzles is essentially the crux of the entire gameplay. So you're trying to figure out ways to get her around gaps, across gaps, over pitfalls, or around dangerous traps or anything like that, all while trying to protect her at the same time. Gameplay is not too varied. The combat is all very samey. It's not bad, but even when it comes to the rest of it, trying to figure out how to do a trap or how to get around something, how to pass, whatever it is, it really feels like it's the same four things over and over. It's not to the point, the game isn't long enough to the point where it gets boring and bad and repetitive. So it's a decent length. It took me about 4.5 hours to finish the entire game from start to finish. I didn't do it in a single sitting, but it took me about 4.5 hours or so. I won't spoil the ending, but the end of the game did throw me off a little bit with what came up. I just kind of expected it to just end at one point, kind of almost anticlimactically, but that wasn't the case. They do tease a little bit in that there may be some type of spiritual successor link from Eco to Shadow of the Colossus, but it's kind of hard to confirm. You can see many times throughout the entire game, you can see some links or you can see some inspiration. Obviously, it's made by the same guy, but you get the idea. And it's a decent game overall. I had never played it properly back in the PS2, so this is my first proper time to play it to completion. And it's still a decent game. I'd recommend it for a lot of people. If you're into a short enough game with a little bit of thinking and all in it. I got stuck in it twice, mainly because when it comes to certain mechanics, I wasn't sure if, oh, hey, you can climb this thing, because, it looks as part of the background. I didn't know I could climb this. So that kind of stuff. And then you start understanding, oh, I can climb this, or, oh, this is actually a bomb, and I can hit it with something else to make it explode. That's the other bit I got stuck on. But yeah, it's not too elaborate. Other than that, like I said, you'll feel like you're solving the same puzzle with the same four different solutions every time. But it's like I said, a decent game. Many people would enjoy it. You've got, depending on what other games you like, super chads like, say, myself and Charles over there, we could play it to see whatever else we feel like it. And you've got other people as well that I would highly recommend this game for. Like, you've got people like Stormlit Aqua or Theo, people who have never known a woman's touch and can force a female character to hold their hand. So I definitely recommend it for people like those.
Wow.
You're saying I don't know the feel of a woman's touch. I mean, explain this. How is
Hey, at least you didn't put her in the jar. At least you took her out of the jar and cleaned her off for the stream.
Hey, I'm no monster.
So I have a question though. But first I want to ask Theo, did you start? Is it Ico or Eco? Which is it? What's the right pronunciation?
I say Ico, but
I've just always called it Eco.
Have you played it?
It's never spoken, so.
No, I've not played it before. I think.
Not at all.
No, I don't know if I was turned off by it, but I did remember seeing a lot about it on TV because I used to have the old G4 TV, and they would show clips of it. And I was like, I don't know why I would want to play this. Like, it was at that point where like escort missions just sucked ass. Like, yeah, like the escort mission in MGS3 where Ava just kept getting killed. I didn't want to deal with that. This is also the high point of like when Ashley just sucked off the bat, which now I look back and it's kind of fun having like her in Resident Evil 4, but I just didn't really care for Ico's like a whole game that's that, and I think it came out at a time where I was too young to like kind of appreciate a game that's like this cryptic and different as well.
Yeah, so the question I would have is, Retro, how do you feel about Ico compared to Shadow of the Colossus?
Well, they're two very different games, and Shadow of the Colossus has definitely aged a lot better. Even if you don't play the remake, a couple of months ago, earlier this year, someone redeemed a channel point thing on my channel, which makes me play a game of their choice. And Stormlit Aqua picked Shadow of the Colossus. And because I had already played the PS4 version, not on stream, but I said, hey, I'll stream the PS2 version. And even the PS2 version, performance issues aside, the game has aged really well. Mm-hmm. Ico, whatever you want to call it, not so much. It's not a bad game. it hasn't aged to the point where it's gone from good to bad. It's just it shows its age a little bit more and how dated and basic it is a little bit, but still not a bad game.
Yeah, it's funny, and I'll get more into this, but I have a different opinion. I actually feel like Ico and Shadow of the Colossus are extremely similar games. And just the way they play the like control of what you're doing is different, but like it's the same type of gameplay loop because they're both like Shadow of the Colossus. I feel like is a puzzle game, but they don't like. If you watch someone playing it, you're like, "Yo, you're just like whooping the shit out of this monster," but you're really solving a puzzle more than you're like playing an action game. I'd say.
I
I don't know if that
I can see that.
It's kind of funny because I think Shadow of the Colossus, when you start it, it does feel like, oh, you're just slaying monsters because they give you very easy colossi to fight. But
Yeah.
they started throwing in other stuff like slowly so that you start to realize, well, no, actually, it's more than just fighting. You're actually trying to figure out how to get on it, where to climb it, where to find the weak points. So it kind of. Shadow of the Colossus, I feel like it does a lot to trick the player into thinking it's one thing, and then it's like, no, it's actually this. And it kind of ties into the story as well, because at this point, there's like a big gap between when Ico came out and Shadow of the Colossus. I do kind of feel that the ending intentionally connects to Ico, because you haven't played Ico in a long time, and you don't really think about it, and you would not expect a game called Shadow of the Colossus to tie into Ico. So when you get to the end, it's like, wait, is this?
Oh, you're saying like the subversion is like it's like these games are connected, even though you wouldn't have expected it at all.
Yeah, like everything about like, and I think that's what I like about this developer a lot. This guy, because I don't want to play The Last Guardian, but part of me wonders if there's anything in that game that's gonna connect it to the other games, and it's like I don't know if I want to do that, because I just don't think it's worth putting up with the animal AI.
So, but how is that? Okay, so I don't know how we should do this because I think I have a hot take. But how is dealing with that any different than dealing with the Colossi? Because, okay, so I'm just gonna let it out. I kind of didn't like this game, and I'm not
Wow.
gonna say that it's a bad game, Shadow of the
Wait,
Colossus.
wait, Shadow of the Colossus?
Yeah, I don't want to say it's a bad game. Like if someone says they really like it, I'm not gonna argue with you. But I felt it was more. It's like you're doing like super specific things in order to create a sequence of events to get you in the right place to hit a certain target. So to me, most of the game is just like. Did you play it with a guide, Theo? 'Cause, like,
No.
if
Well,
okay,
actually, I should put an asterisk next to that. I didn't play the entire game with a guide, but
Okay.
I only went to a guide if I was truly like stumped on how to figure something out, or if I tried something, I was like, well, this isn't really working out. Am I doing it correctly? I would look up
Yeah,
a guide just to see if I was doing it right or whatever. That's
yeah,
how I was using a guide. I want to clarify that I didn't go straight to the guide. I only did it when I was like in tried times.
yeah. So and yeah, there were 3 times I went to a guide. One of them was the ninth Colossus, and I'll say this is why Game Club is great because I would 100% have quit this game on the ninth Colossus if it wasn't for Game Club. That's the one where you're in like the desert or something, and there's geysers, and you have to get it to stand over one of the
Oh,
geysers
that
so you
one.
can shoot it in the feet, right? And it's like all of the fun I had in this game was trying to identify how do I beat this Colossus because there's not really anything else more to it. It's like you figure out how to get to the weak point, you stab the weak point a couple times, you kill it, right? But this one was very frustrating because it's like I know I have to flip him on the geyser somehow, but like I couldn't like I'd had him standing over it, and like sometimes it didn't seem like it was doing what it was supposed to do, and sometimes it was like the geyser was like shooting like right past its shoulder. So it was like it was not fun to get to that point, right? So it's like I have to run around the horse, I have to stand in a super specific spot, so they stand in a super specific spot, so I can now shoot his feet and I can get onto the top and like then stab it. And it's like I fell off, so it's like now I have to do this again. So it was like there was a lot of bosses where it was like, okay, now I'm just waiting around to get this into the right spot so I can get to the spot where I need to stab it. and it's like,
I
you know what I
get
mean?
that.
It's kind of
Yeah.
competitive. So
You played the PS3 version, Charles, didn't you?
yeah.
I feel
So
they made that
technically,
easier in the
Shadow-
PS4 version.
Yeah, I
I
was gonna
think.
say Shadow of the Colossus on PS2 and PS3 because it's just a remastered one. They're notoriously janky and trying to get it in like specific exact places. So that's a perfect example of some of the issues that it had back in the PS2. But obviously, a
Okay,
lot of
yeah.
that was fixed with the remake.
But
Interesting.
I do get what you mean because when I did that Colossi, it did look really hard to read because I was like, yeah, I know how to put them over the geyser, but it's like this is a giant thing. It just doesn't look like it should work. Just if you just look at the Colossus versus that thing, but whatever. But I felt that with the underwater Colossi, that you had to like kind of swim around and try to wait for its tail to come up. It has the electric
Yeah.
fins. That one I felt exactly the same. Where it's like, okay, like now I have to swim and get around that. Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And the other thing that's like, it's obviously like a suspension of disbelief or immersion thing, but it's like when it's like, there's certain, like the flying one made me laugh because it's like he picks you up, you shoot at it, it picks you up, and it's like, why would it fall for this trick again? Or no, you know which one was the most egregious? The one with the beard. It's like you have to go underneath, and why? Okay, I jumped on your beard and like climbed up you, and I stabbed you in the skull, and I fell off. Like, don't fall for that again. You know what I mean? It's like the
Yeah.
George Bush thing. Fool me once. Don't fool me
Well,
again.
I've always worked under the assumption when playing that they're just kind of mindless killing machines possessed by spirits kind of thing, rather than highly advanced.
But that's the thing is like I get why a lot of people would enjoy this game because it's like there's a beautiful world you're exploring and all this stuff and like you're in this epic battle, but I just don't value that at all. Like I'm just like get to where's the thing I have to murder? Like I thought I was going to be playing a pure action game. But really it's like you need to figure out how to crawl upon this monster and stab it in the face and it dies. And then like I really thought once I figured out the weaknesses, it was just like it was kind of easy to do and like almost tedious. Like I didn't really feel a lot of pressure when I was fighting either. You know what I mean? Like I aside from a few of the Colossus, like I feel like they couldn't kill me. Like I literally, you know the one that has the giant like stick and you have to run in a certain direction and you run up the stick
Oh
to
yeah.
jump on it?
Yeah, I think
I
yeah,
literally-
that's on the
Second or
cover
third
of this.
one
Is it this one? Like you
Oh
may not.
yeah. It literally I let it just smash me and I didn't die. I was like
I
it was a
think
direct hit.
it's funny because I've come to the point where like I do feel that way with these bosses. That's like yeah, they can't kill you. It's impossible. But I think there was like maybe 2 instances where the Colossi killed me, but it's like I don't remember which ones it was. I know one that looked really stupid, and I posted on Twitter saying, "Oh, feeling cute right now, might delete later." But I can't think of like how it killed me. I just know it killed.
Yeah.
It was either it killed me or or was this the fall damage that killed me, and that's probably where people die the most is the fall damage.
Well, that and not being able to jump over the gap with aggro, but
Oh, I remember now. It's the underwater thing because the electricity kept killing me.
Yeah, I never but you had it on hard too, so maybe that makes a difference. But there was never a point in this game where I was like, I don't feel like I can beat this. I was just frustrated off like I have to wait around so I can catch the next because like I fell off by accident and now I have to like catch him again. You know what I mean?
What did you
and I'm
think
not
of?
gonna lie.
What do you think of the
When
final boss?
What?
Oh, what were you gonna say?
When Argo fell in the pit, I was happy.
Oh my god!
There we go.
Charles, like you have like touched something great. So I got to that fucking part. I hated aggro the whole fucking game. The whole time, this fucking horse was giving me so much shit. I'm like, okay, so that part where you have to go over the bridge and all that,
Dude.
I was like, okay, aggro, let's run. It stopped running and then it just fell off. I was like, oh, cool. Like I just kept killing me, so it took me all the way back to the center of the map, and I was like, this is fucking lame. So
that was the second time I would have quit.
Yeah, I
Wasn't a
felt the same way
case.
because I was saying that like doing it over and over. Like, if I'm dying to this dumb shit, I don't know if I want to bother with this game anymore. Because this was the killer. A little side note on this. I was getting hungry, so like, oh, I have to get like some dinner. So I stopped streaming. I put it away. I saved and quit. I was like, okay, maybe that's where the checkpoint is. I come back. I'm like, oh no, I have to go all the way to the set. I was at the Colossus, like right there. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna save and quit and come back. Come back, and it's the center of the fucking map. I'm like, oh my god,
No.
this is fucking lame. And
I-
then the horse
I don't
kept
know if
dying
that's-
again. I'm like, this is like insane. I'm going crazy. I did this before and I can't do it again. So I finally did it. Then the horse fucking falls. I'm like, at first when I saw that cuss, it was like, oh, now I feel like an asshole. I hated this horse and it died. Oh man, damn. This time
Did
that
you?
it died, I was like, no, fuck that. That horse is a piece of shit. I'm glad it died. Like
Yeah.
because like the first time it's like, okay, wow, that is like kind of sad because a lot of my frustration is that I didn't realize if I held down triangle it would just run. So I thought that it just wasn't running because it was like, because I told you this last time where it's like
Yeah,
modern
I get
games,
you.
all that. So it's like, okay, maybe I was
I think
wrongfully
it's X though, right?
huh?
You press X to make it run, right?
No, it's triangle. X
Oh,
is to
whatever.
I don't know, but it was
X slows him down, I think.
yeah. So when he first died, I was like, oh, I feel like an asshole because like I hate him on my own for my own issues. And it's like, oh, that's sad. Oh, I feel like an asshole. I dunked on this horse and it died, but it kept dying and it kept doing like dumb shit. I'm like, okay, it died. Good for you. Fucking glad you died, bitch. And then it shows up at the end of the fucking game. So
know.
that horse is a piece of shit anyway. Terrible character in the game. I wish the Colossus killed it.
Same.
So
I was
yeah.
laughing because so when I got to that part, first I was not on Argo, so I jumped on the bridge by myself,
I did the same
Off my death.
shit.
and I was like, "Fuck!" Because I was like, "Now I have to go all the way back." So I was so pissed. So then I'm like, "Okay, obviously I need the horse this time." I jumped on, and then the camera angle changed, and by a reflex, I moved the stick to, jumped right off with Argo, and I was like, and then the third time, I got across, and I was like, and all I said right when he fell was like, "Thank God I don't have to deal with that horse anymore," and that was it.
Oh my god! Like, well, for me, what happened was I jumped on that platform with Argo, and then like I think it might have been the same thing with you, where it's like I tried to readjust the stick with the camera, and then Argo just stops and turns. I'm like, wait, what the fuck are you doing? And it
Yeah.
just like, okay, bye. But I was gonna also mention, because you talk about how like dumb the fights are, or whatever about the Colossus.
Yeah,
the
they just do
final
this-
the final one I think is it has the coolest presentation, but it's the most like, I was a little frustrated with that fight because I got to the hands. I'm like, how do you aim? Because the hands keep moving and all that. Someone said, "Oh, just stab the hands," and I'm like, "Oh, of course. Why I didn't think of that?" But I couldn't figure out where to aim the arrow because one person in chat said, "Oh, aim for the eyes." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I mean, that makes sense. That
Which would make sense.
yeah, because the snake one that's in the sand, that's how you did
Yeah.
that one. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Wouldn't do what it needed to do. I'm like, okay. That one I looked up eventually because I was like, I'm getting there, not knowing what to do. You gotta shoot the shoulder. I shoot the shoulder,
Yeah.
and the camera fucked me over where I tried to jump on, and I landed on the fire or something. I was like, oh, okay, I have to do the whole thing over again. This is fucking lame. Like, that was not a fun Colossus.
I thought, but okay, two things because I watched you play against the last one, and there's two things that I have to say about that because I had the same experience where I couldn't figure out once I was on the hand, I couldn't figure out where I was supposed to shoot it, and I thought the weirdest thing about this was it was they like subverted the gameplay for no reason in the last fight because when you stab it in the hands, it makes it easier to stand on it. I thought was weird, right? So it's like if you stab his hands, he then lifts up and like just holds it there for a second instead of being like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like you
Like-
think that it would move more to get you off.
Yeah, so you stab the hand and then it's standing there. And I don't know if this happened in the PS4 version for you, but the worst thing about that last part is that when you aim the bow, the camera focuses on the face. It doesn't let you can't see the weak point. At least when I was playing, I could not see that there was a weak point on the shoulder. So that was another time I had to look at the guide. I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do because I was like shooting in the face.
Oh
But the weak
yeah.
point is you're supposed to hit on the shoulder, so I have to aim outside of where the camera was to get to the right spot, which I thought was super weird.
I didn't notice a weak point on the shoulder. That's why I never thought about the shoulder. It's like, oh, okay, it has to be the eyes because there's nothing that's like drawing me to the shoulder. Which, I mean, to get into a little bit
use
of
the sword though. To be fair.
Well, you have to.
Yeah, most people would. Yeah, you hold it up to show
but
it. It's very very hard to do at that time. You know,
but
you stab him in the hand. It's like 2 seconds to hold it there.
Yeah, but also to be fair, it's also dark when you make it there, so you would naturally think, oh, there's gonna be no sun because the thing needs sun to do that. So I wasn't thinking of doing that, but the other
I didn't think of doing it, and not from Theo's logical reason. I just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? But yeah, that makes sense. And that actually makes sense for the other time I had to look for the guide was how to disarm the Colossus with the club. I was like, how because like I was trying to like shoot him in the hand. I was trying to stab his hand. The one with where you had to hit it here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The second last one in the city.
Yeah. So I'd look for a guide for that too because I was like, what the fuck do I do? And it's like, oh, just get to its tricep and stab it there. And I was like, oh.
But you know what I've noticed with this game? That's kind of that. Depending on how you look at it, it could be both a positive or a negative thing. Ever since Shadow of the Colossus came out, I feel like every other game wants to have a Colossus enemy. Like, oh, we gotta make a giant enemy because this game, which is like, as I said, it's like depending on how you look at it, it's like, yeah, that is cool, like to see a giant like enemy. But at the same time, there is still something fun. Like when you play like Devil May Cry and you have like Virgil as the boss, and it's like the same height as you or whatever. It's like that is kind of fun to fight against, but. It's one of those things that's like, it could be a nice thing or it could be a bad thing. Or a tired out thing.
I have no problem with that. Retro, do you have anything to say based on our impressions? Because I know you're a big fan.
So it's not specifically about what the way the two of you did it. I just want to see how it did because I didn't realize Tia was playing the remake on hard, and I haven't played the remake since it came out.
Actually, Charles, I don't know where Charles got that impression. I'm playing on normal.
I'm gonna play it on hard.
No, I was going to do the first 3 bosses on hard to make up for not doing that recently. But I was thinking even more, maybe I should just play the whole game again on hard, because why just do the first 3 to then just come back again? Like, that didn't make sense to me, so like, I'll play on hard again eventually, because as much as like I had gripes about the final Colossi and some of the other Colossi, I do want to play this game on higher difficulties, because I know that like Stormlit I think said like one of the differences is the stamina meter is like way easier to like knock off and all that on hard. So I would be curious to see how that game how I would enjoy that game on hard.
Yeah, and that's the thing for me is like, again, I'm not gonna say this is a bad game, but like I would not be interested in playing it again, right? Because unless like hard mode introduces like new stages or new weak points you have to hit, it's like I already know exactly how to fight these things. So I just need to go through.
I think I read somewhere that hard mode does have new weak points.
Okay.
Different, not so much phases, but different stages to the boss, essentially.
Yeah.
Like instead of doing it, point 1, 2, 3, you have to do 4, 1, 2, 7, 6 kind of thing.
Yeah. It's the thing to me is like, I would enjoy this game a lot more actually if it was like, instead of just like stabbing one weak point 3 times, it's like, okay, get around, like monkey around and get it in a bunch of spots to kill it. Because it's like, that's the interesting part to me. Like I think the climbing controls are a lot of fun. I wish there was more like platforming stuff in here actually. Like, because I really like the climbing controls. I really like jumping from place to place. But like, even that stuff, it seems like when you're trying to find the next Colossus, right? Whenever you have a point where it's like, okay, I have to climb around, it's very brief. And it seems like just a device to be like, you're not going to use Argo for this fight. So let's put some distance between you two. Like in the first fight, it's like you jump, you climb a little bit, and Argo's not with you, so you fight the Colossus alone. It's never like, oh, here's this interesting adventure part where you're going to like do some interesting platforming and stuff. It's kind of just like, this is just to get you to another point.
Yeah.
Rather than, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say something. Now I forgot what I was gonna say. Damn it!
But to connect it with Ico and how I think they're kind of the same type of game, it's like Ico is about you have an AI partner that you're trying to cart around. you're waiting around. They have certain limitations. They have certain behaviors, and you're waiting around to move them around. And in this game,
like the
your
horse.
partner, you're trying to move them around so you can get to the right point where you can murder them. So it's like the same game, but like opposite goals. I mean, and I really had a problem with like the camera. I was my worst enemy in this game. I hate when a camera occupies physical space. So like if you're up against the wall, instead of the wall being transparent, like the camera has to jank around. You know what I mean? Like I had a lot of problems.
You're gonna hate going back to Eco. I forgot to bring it up, but like my only major gripe with Eco was the camera. It was awful.
Well, which is the thing is that I'm kind of okay with it in Eco because, okay, this is what I'll say. If I watch gameplay of Eco in isolation, not knowing how, I'm not watching people's controller, I'm just watching the game play out. It plays exactly, when I picked up the controller and played it, it's exactly as I expected it to be. Like, this is a puzzle game, you're moving around slowly, the camera kind of sucks, the combat is boring, but like, it's all about trying to escort this person. And I hate escort missions, but I was fine with it in Eco.
Yeah.
But Shadow of the Colossus makes me think I'm going to be doing this like action-packed, like I'm going to be dodging, I have to like sneak around to get like to be able to attack this thing. Like in Shadow of Colossus, is there any point to like your regular attack? I don't think there is, except like very brief moments.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
Like, in the last boss, you can hit him in the back just by swinging your sword, but it's kind of pointless because then you fall off. So it's like, why even have a sword swing if I can't use it for anything?
I just remember what I was gonna say.
Immersion.
So you made fun of how the main character like rolls and and all that shit.
Yeah.
I thought it was that last boss like displayed why it's actually a good roll to me, because it's like you actually like you get good spacing between like each wall, and then you see like a little hole you could dive into. So it gives you enough of this like reach to get to where you need to go before you get sniped. So that was like the only time I was like, oh, this roll's rad, but you never use it anywhere else. Like everywhere else is like, it's pointless. I just think I think to go off with you where you think it's like this action-packed game, I think a lot of it's also how the game is presented and how it's marketed as well, which now is a little bit irrelevant, but it's like, yeah, like I just remember every commercial is like, oh, this big monster and this and that. It's like, oh shit, this is gonna be crazy. And then you actually play, it's like, oh, it's a means to an end. The other thing is, I mentioned that the bull boss that was like tiny. I was like, I don't know why this is in the game. This seems like a very small boss. Like you're playing a game called Shadow of the Colossus, and it's like this thing's like a normal sized enemy, and then you see it again near the end of the game. It's like, what is with this? Like,
yeah, I did feel like they reused a few things a little bit. Like, it makes sense that like some of the parts are going to be similar, but yeah, there was a few things where it was like, this boss kind of looks similar to the last one, like the snakes and the two bull ones. But again,
I would love to see the concepts for like because it had like what 30, 40 other Colossus that were like cut or something.
Yeah, originally it was supposed to be something like 36 or 48 or something like that.
Damn.
I would love to see like the concepts of those, because if they're reusing enemies for this, like were the other ones like just more clones or just stuff that's like, okay, this is way too crazy for a PS2 to fucking handle.
From what I understand, they either it just couldn't handle it, because that's why the game runs like shit as it is on the PS2.
Okay.
So, but I wanted to see compared with your two different playthroughs, because I don't know if it's something that either you both may have done wrong, or if it's just something with the PS4 version, because I can't remember. But specifically, Theo was always complaining that when he died, he went back to the start in the center. I noticed he never manually saved it at the save points. Now, I didn't say anything during his playthrough.
Okay, you know what? I'm glad you said this, because this is fucking stupid. How these altars worked, because they're not intuitive to anything. You see them and you're like, oh, okay, like what do? You have to press start and then like, oh, manual save. It's like, but you could do that reasonably anywhere. Like it's just.
But if you die, you start from the last one you saved.
No, I get that. Like what you said. I just think that when you see these altars, like your first instinct is like, okay, I have to press like a face button or something there, and the main character is gonna like do this or whatever. Like it is a crime, not a crime, but like a habit of modern games. Like if they have these in modern games, they probably would have like a prompt for it. Like in Horizon Zero Dawn, it's a campfire. You press triangle to quick save. It does a little animation there. But you see these shrines, and it's like, oh, I have to go there, and then manual save. But I still think it's bullshit. You're at the Colossus, which when you die, you start there. So the game has a saving feature there for itself, but it just doesn't want to share it with you. It's like, ah, well, no.
Yeah, I never thought. So it was actually funny. I saw those, but I never thought to use them because
Exactly.
first of all, it's like the exploration it's just like you kind of go to point A to point B. It doesn't take that long, so it's like saving seemed like it didn't seem like there was a natural point where I'd be like, it's time to save. Like the loop for me was just like beat a Colossus, save, stop playing.
Yeah,
Like,
I felt the same.
like,
The same.
Yeah, that's why. That's what Theo was doing.
yeah, it's like whatever. And I actually think it's pretty funny because the reason I beat this game actually, or like the technique I used was I was like, oh man, I gotta find a save point before I stop playing. Or like I have to beat this Colossus, otherwise I can't stop playing. And I was like, oh wait a second, I'm an adult. I'll just leave the console on. Like when I was a kid, I'm like, I gotta turn it off. But now I'm just like, I live alone. I'm gonna just leave the console on, I'll play it in the morning.
I just get.
So it's like would get to a Colossus and be like, I don't want to play, and then just pause it and go to bed.
I just lose my mind when I leave a game on because I don't. It counts the runtime, and I just don't want like, all right, I left it on for like 5 hours, let's say. I don't want to play through that. It's gonna be like, oh, 90 hours. Okay, 95 hours because you stayed still for like 5 hours. Like that to me just drives me up the wall.
You know what's funny? I think this game does not count time when you're paused because my final game time I think was 8 hours and 15 minutes I beat it in.
Okay.
So that there was definitely times I literally would get to a Colossus and go to work. So there's no way it was counting the time it was paused. So there's that.
All right.
That's kind of promising.
But
it's,
I just don't get that habit.
You can't save it anywhere on the PS3, right? You have to use the.
I never tried. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah. You basically just save it after it gives you a Colossus kill, and because I'm trying to think back to playing on the PS2, and I know it was only a few months ago, but I can't remember if I just think I saved it after the Colossus, and that was it. I don't think I manually saved it.
Which another thing I want to say, I don't appreciate how you're greeted by all the souls you tormented when you load the game. It's just like you load the game and there's like 10 people standing over you, just like, thanks for killing us.
Oh yeah.
You have to remember, depending on the way you look at it and who you side with, you are the bad guy.
Yeah, I know. Which,
well, okay, actually,
spoilers.
It depends on which way you're looking at it.
How are you bad? You're trying to save this girl that got sacrificed by their village. He's like, oh, that's fucking sucks. Let's sit.
But the Colossus aren't inherently bad. There's no. It's just in like the one religion or the one beliefs of that group, and then you come in and murder them for your own selfish gains.
Which is so funny because when I was playing this whole game, and I'm gonna have to find the Twitch clip because I think I said I was like, watch you end up doing this for the wrong reasons, like because it seems like these things, the Colossi are just like chilling, like. And I had a fly in my apartment, so the whole time I was playing this game, I was identifying more with the Colossus than the character.
This thing is coming in to annoy me.
Yeah, and imagine a fly like jumping on you, not only annoying you, but stabbing you in the skull when you're just chilling.
Stabs you in the Achilles heel, stabs you in the tendon behind your knee, stabs you like. Yeah, I can see that.
I'm like this guy's an asshole.
The perfect example of it is like, look what happens to you progressively more and more as you start murdering these innocent colossi. Like you see what happens to you and what happens to you right at the end. You become the monster. You know, you essentially turn undead and become the monster.
Which I was so disappointed that last part because I feel like I was trying to massacre them and it didn't even work.
Exactly. I almost thought this game was gonna have two endings. I was like, oh, am I getting the fucked up ending? It's like, no, you just. It ends the same way.
Congratulations, you didn't murder all the people.
Oh,
bad ending.
there's not there's only one ending.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I thought there
Yeah.
was two because I wasn't killing them. So I was like,
Oh.
oh, if I kill them, will it be a different ending? Oh, I don't know. And it's like, no. But
Yeah.
I do like the setup to that because I do like that the demon's dormant and you don't really know what dormant is. Like you're just told it's bad because it's a demon and it like made this kid a zombie or whatever the fuck. But it's like you're just told that it's bad. All it did was like, yeah, these guys sealed me away, and it's like you don't know why they sealed him away. He could have been an innocent guy just chilling. They're like, oh no, you're now in these colossi now. Even
The
though
way I understood it.
huh?
Oh, go ahead.
No, yeah, you go ahead.
Oh, the way I understood kind of the ending part of it was basically, obviously, as you kill each Colossus, they essentially take over your body and start residing in there. I always looked at them as, let's say, there's 12 Colossi in the game? Let's say there's 13 Colossi, but basically, all 12 are individual parts, and then when they all inhabit your body, and then naturally you get killed, you get shot with the arrows and then stabbed. And that's them killing the completed 12 pieces together, which releases the full one, which you become and start killing everybody. That's the way I understood it, but I don't know if it's true or not. It just makes a bit of sense considering they all centralize in you.
Yeah.
I thought what was happening was that whoever was giving you instructions, like, was resurrecting themselves.
They
like, through
I thought that was the big guy you become, essentially.
Yeah.
He's tricking you to say, hey, I will give you this power. Free me.
Yes.
Like
then
every other
through and,
demon.
like,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It seems like the other thing that happened is like they created a half demon child, and that's what Ico is. Is that?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
because of the horns. That's possibly it.
So like now there's just demon children walking around, and they sacrifice them in Ico.
Demon child. It's one. There's only one demon child. They
Well,
didn't.
there must be more, right? Because wasn't there like? Well, you didn't play Ico, but in the beginning, I think they're hinting that everyone in those tanks are all.
Yeah,
demon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's almost like for some reason they're all in there, and then your one falls over and breaks open, and Eco. I guess his name's not. I don't think his name is Eco because I know the girl's name is Yorda, and I don't think you're Eco, but yeah. Regardless, the it kind of hints that each one of them is a person, but I don't want to spoil it or anything like that. There's a scene at one point in a big room like that where there's a significant amount of enemies, and it's almost like maybe it's the shadows, or no Persona reference here, but it's almost like it's the shadows or the dead versions of all of the pods coming out at you for some reason. But again, there's no story in that game outside of the 30 seconds at the very start. Until I was about 10 minutes from the end, I literally said to myself, wow, there's like absolutely zero anything here. And then a few seconds later, like 30 seconds later, I got a 10-second cutscene. And that was the only thing between there and the end of the game.
So, I wonder because, like, in the end of the Shadow of the Colossus, there's that old man that says, oh, hopefully you will atone for your sins in the next life or whatever. So, in Ico, is the little boy doing, like, something good for the girl? Is he like, oh, I'm gonna do something, like I'm gonna help her, like, because it seems like to me it sets up Ico to the sense of like he's like doing some kind of like thing to like atone for something. That's why he's like escorting this girl around, because it could be like the guilt of whatever that happened in Shadow of the Colossus.
It's not really explained. I don't know what I can say without being spoilers and all. There's something right at the very end that tells you why what you're doing is right, essentially. I shouldn't even say right. It's literally what you're doing is right. But it's not explained at the very start of the game. It's not explained as you're doing it, as you're going through the game. It's explained for the first time maybe 20 minutes before the end of the game, and then once again in like the 5 minutes before the end of the game.
I think you should play Echo at this point.
That's about it.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, like I said, it's not bad, and you can force a girl to touch your hand, so enjoy. But other than that, I mean.
Oh no, there we go. See.
Oh, okay. So
wow.
it's just Stormlit Aqua then that's burned like that, I guess. Storm, you should play. Oh, he's in the chat. I haven't actually looked at the chat.
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be that negative. But I was also gonna say, I do have a PS3, so I could always like download Ico at some point. Though I think, I guess I'll play Ico regardless. But it was funny. I looked at the PlayStation just released their new like subscription model. So sorry, it's the phone. If you hear it, it's my phone. Someone's calling me. I don't know who it is, but they have like Ico there, but it's like stream only, and it's like what, like $100 to do the premium. It's like I'm not doing that for Ico. Like
you can probably pick up the game cheaper than that.
yeah, I can just buy it on. I can even buy it on PSN for like cheaper too. Just boot up my PS3 and then stream that.
My French copy.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask you if you could send yours because you have 2 copies, but I didn't want to sound like a beggar, dude. But
well, you should ask, and you shall receive. I'll send it to you.
All right. Bing, bing, boom.
Yeah, I think I would like Ico a little bit better, to be honest.
I feel like I would too. Like I feel like now that there's all these years that have passed, and I've been playing all these different games, I feel like I probably would appreciate that game more.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I just feel like I understand why people would like Shadow of the Colossus. I'm not a big fan because I expected more of an action game, but like definitely it's like visually fun to look at and like it's interesting world. One thing I was disappointed in, because Retro, you actually said you prefer this to Breath of the Wild and you felt like it did like what Breath of the Wild does better. But
I gotta clarify on that a little bit.
Okay.
Because of the variance of the world and the obviously better graphics, I say it's got a better version of Hyrule than Breath of the Wild. They're both as equally empty and have nothing to do in them, but Shadow of the Colossus has 12 Colossus, whereas Breath of the Wild has the same 1 Colossus 4 times.
There's actually 16 Colossus.
16, okay, so even better then. It's got 16 instead of just the same 1 Colossus 4 times.
Yeah, so that's the thing though. I would say Breath of the Wild is more interesting as a game simply because like there's some resource gathering and things like that. Like Shadow of the Colossus is like point A, point B, right? And then you fight a Colossus. Like Breath of the Wild, there's this whole like economy and things you have to do to play, you know? So,
yeah, that's why I only consider it the better version of Hyrule, like literally just the world, not the gameplay and stuff like that. Technically, Breath of the Wild has a bit more to do in it, but I'd still consider Shadow of the Colossus a better game.
I did remember what I was gonna say earlier, and to tie into what I was gonna say about Retro's little piece about Breath of the Wild. I understand, by the way, the whole issue with the divine beasts and all that. I get that. I just don't understand how you could say a game that has villages, cities, people is like the same as a world that has nothing, like literally nothing, except for ruins. I mean,
well, no, there were salamanders and owls.
Yeah, but they're not villages. They're not villagers. They're not getting fruit, you know.
And fruit.
Yeah, but they're not people that are like, oh, what's up? I got some wares. You want some of this? Or like, you know, you're not gonna go around seeing people who are like getting attacked by goblins and save them.
So
I got it. Capcom can remake Shadow of the Colossus as the next one, so you can randomly go to like shrines and stuff like that, and they've just got the merchant in there, so he just like opens up like, what are you buying? And he's got all the like salamander tails and fruits and stuff like that.
Well, but there's like still people that you don't need to sell or buy stuff from. They're just hanging out, like, oh, what's up, man? Oh, today I'm gonna cook a nice recipe, whatever. The other thing I was gonna say to bring up what I was gonna say earlier, though, in Breath of the Wild, you can go in any order you want. There's no like guide. While I feel like Shadow of the Colossus, I still don't understand why you can do that. Like, why can't you do... Like, I can understand the final Colossi. Okay, yeah, lock him behind a door. Okay, sure. But I feel like I should be able to go to any Colossus I want. Then, I have to go in order.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I don't see why there's any... I mean, other than the way they try to portray it in the story, I don't see any reason why not. It's not like you unlock certain things that you need on like, oh, I unlocked it from killing the 4th to be able to kill the 5th. It's not like they have anything like that.
Yeah,
I
and
did.
oh,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Because I was going to say like a little side thing. I did like that when I got lost in Shadow of the Colossus, I end up going to areas where I fought other classes, which I didn't realize at first. I was like, oh, this is an area I haven't been to yet for some reason, whatever. But I started looking around. I was like, oh, the corpse is actually still in the area. It's just it has become part of the world, which I thought was kind of a nice like touch. Like you wouldn't think about it until you actually looked at like the mound of dirt or whatever. You actually see some of the designs of that specific Colossus, which I liked.
Yeah, I mean, from the perspective of like, I understand why they want you to go in a certain order from like the difficulty perspective, but I didn't feel like anything. Like I felt like the first Colossus was really easy, but then the other ones were kind of all on the same level of difficulty. I don't think even the last, like Theo, you said easy boss after you beat the last boss, and I think that unironically. Like I don't think it was particularly challenging. Like you just had to run underneath it, and then once you're there, it's kind of like stab it in the back, stab it in the hand, shoot it in the shoulder, and stab it in the skull. Like I was like, okay, like that's fine, but I didn't think it was that interesting, to be honest.
It feels like it's a bit more reductive of what you're actually doing. Like sure, they're the key important beats, but how do you get between each one of them is
Right. And that's the thing is like that's why I like people should not listen to me, but they should play it themselves because like
Oh, I agree.
I don't value the details. I just want the action. Like I'm trying to like fuck a giant up. I don't care about how beautiful the world is.
You
know what I
see,
mean? Like,
yeah, I think you have the same opinion if you played SMT3. That's a game I think everyone should experience at least once, and they'll see that Atlas could theoretically make a good JRPG. They just choose not to.
oh fuck out of here.
See what should happen is just kind of like Theo said, but in a better example. I mean, everybody should play Persona 4 Golden. It's got the best navigator in the entire series.
You have two people against you on that one, Retro. Sorry, I mean.
Yeah, but I don't care. I've played Persona 4 Golden like multiple times, so each time counts as a whole.
I'll only agree if I'd only agree if there was like if Marie was the navigator, but she isn't. Unfortunately,
no, but okay, it does have reset though, so I mean,
did you guys?
That's pretty promising.
Whatever.
Are you guys talking about your waifus right now?
We could be. You jelly? You jelly?
Wow.
Did you? Oh,
guys, are your first. Retro's waifu is Teddy. So.
No. Hang on. We're gonna.
You said that
right now.
Persona 4 is the best navigator, which is Teddy.
There are two best girls in Persona 4. There's a vanilla one, which is obviously Yukiko, and then there is golden best girl, who is obviously Marie.
The goth chick that lives in the fucking limousine.
Yes, Marie, best golden girl.
See, I think you can't play the right Persona 3 version unless you emulate FES. But there is the one in elevator.
Played FES.
Pretty rad.
Give it up. I'm not gonna enjoy Persona. I'm surprised that Retro does because I think Retro, you're a connoisseur of RPGs, right?
Yes, of course. That's why I like Persona. They're amazing games.
So tell them about SMT3. SMT3 is an actual RPG. You would actually like it, Charles. I'm telling you. There's no dating sim bullshit.
Retro, what is your favorite RPG, like JRPG?
Secret of Mana on the Super Nintendo. It's the greatest game of all time.
Okay, would you count that? Is Secret of Mana the one that you can play with, like you can play co-op?
3 people, yeah. It's a little bit more hack and slashy like our action RPG, but
let me catch
if you mean straight up like JRPG, maybe even turn based. It's hard to say because I've always said like that's my number 1 game of all time, and I've made a list of games number 2 to 10, and they're usually all so close together I can't give them an exact number. But realistically, if I was to pick turn-based games out of that list, I think the only ones on there, just right off the top of my head, are Final Fantasy 6 and 7.
Okay.
All right.
That's interesting.
I think we should start talking about the next game for
That's
the
true. We
Game
should
Club.
talk about this. But wait. We have to do final evaluations of Shadow of the Colossus. I want to hear Retro first because
Alright.
Retro really likes it. Retro, your opinion on Shadow of the Colossus?
And Ico, since you played
sure.
that as well, so like,
Yeah.
Okay, I'll throw both of them in there. So we'll go with Shadow of the Colossus first, even though I haven't played it in a couple of months. Shadow of the Colossus is still a great game. It is unique in many ways, even to this day. It's arguably not been properly replicated. Probably hasn't even been tried to be replicated properly. Stands alone. It's very unique. Good gameplay for the most part. And if you can get over the Breath of the Wild sparse storytelling, yeah, it's usually a good time. Assuming you don't get stuck, it's a good 6, 8, 10, 12 hours. Definitely worth a recommend. Don't play the PS2 version, it's awful, but play either the PS3 or the amazing PS4 remake. That's Shadow of the Colossus. As far as Eco goes, if you like brief enough puzzle games with not too many overloaded mechanics and bad cameras, it might be the game for you. If you're deprived of human contact, like Tio or maybe Storm.Aqua, you can, force a girl to hold your hand for the entire time. So enjoy. Highly recommended for people like that.
Wow.
Okay, Grandma.
Wow.
All right, so
And no tutorial to worry about skipping.
Oh, by the way, what's your rating out of 5 for Shadow?
For both games. So for Shadow of the Colossus, I would probably give it 4.5 out of 5.
Wow.
So I think 4 wouldn't be high enough, but 5. It's not a 5 out of 5 game. Eco, I might go a little bit lower. I'd give it a 3.5. It's a little bit better than average. Not to say that average would be bad, but it just doesn't stand out and do enough differently. I realize even if it is a PS2 game, it just doesn't stand out and do enough differently to warrant too much more than that.
All right.
So I'll go next. Shadow of the Colossus, I think it's an interesting experience. I think it's more, you'll enjoy it more if you're looking for like an immersion in a world and like seeing visually interesting things and basically like if you want to live like inside this world, it's an interesting game to play. For me, I'm not that into it because I feel like it's a puzzle game disguised as an action game. It's like you have the most of the fun I got out of it was figuring out the puzzles, and then like executing on them was not that fun to me. So honestly, I would call Shadow of the Colossus a walking simulator with monster murders in the middle of each.
I don't think I would ever wake up thinking I was gonna hear Shadow of the Colossus described as a walking sim. I would never think I would hear that.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, you kind of just you go from place to place and then you figure out a puzzle and then you stab the points. So to me, like if you're thinking it's going to be an action game, you're going to be disappointed, which is where I am. So like my personal rating, I'd give it like a 2 out of 5 out of 10. I mean, a 5,
2 out of 5 out of 10.
Out of 5 out of 10. Sorry, out of
One of those two numbers.
Yeah.
So like, but then that's saying it's a 4. I'd say a 2.5 out of 10.
All right.
Just from my personal enjoyment of it. You're walking around, you're seeing pretty shit, you're fighting impressive monsters, and you're solving puzzles. You're not really like doing fast twitch action things, and you're saving meter. So, and I don't think there's much replay value unless you really enjoyed the visual style of it.
I think the replay value is really into speedrunning. Like if you just want to like beat as fast as you can, because like I don't know if the PS3 version had this, but in the PS4 version they have all these stats of like be in this amount of time or whatever.
Yeah.
And also like this one has a lot of unlockables too. Like you can unlock more like comparisons between the PS3 and the PS4 version and all that kind of stuff, which I was a little bummed. There's no comparison with the character models of the Colossi. I would have loved to see the comparisons of like what the PS3 Colossi looks versus the PS4 version, but it's whatever. So for me,
One sec, Theo.
Oh.
Just before you go, just the Gamer John pointed out one thing as well. Because I was only going off like favorite JRPGs off the top of my head. Chrono Trigger, as he pointed out, is in that list as well. So
great game. Also, something Just Gamer John said, way back. I want to hear your theories about where the 3 games. Just Gamer John has theories about.
I was gonna get to that after like we do the. The rating and all that. I was gonna actually bring that up because I was interested in that. So get ready to type that out, Just Gamer John. I do want to read it.
Okay.
So
Theo.
I went in like wanting to like this game because I've heard so much about it in the PS2 era, PS3 era. Like everyone like loved this game. It was like a darling when it came out. So I was like, I want to see what this is about. And kind of hearing that it had like a dark ending. Oh, you actually are the bad guy or whatever. It's like I want to see. I was curious to see how that would pan out. So I was like, both of a story and all that kind of stuff. I was into it. The creepy designs of the Colossi were interesting. I loved how like scary they looked at in some cases, except for the snake. The snake one looked really dumb, but whatever. I liked a lot of it. I liked a lot of like what was in the game. I do think I was kind of I was kind of left wanting more from it. Because as we were saying earlier, once you get over like the first Colossi and you start noticing that this is actually more of a puzzle game, it doesn't necessarily detract from the game completely. It doesn't make it any less of a game, but it just makes it not as fun. It's like there's like a potential there that it could be like a great game, but it's like no, because it wants to be played in this specific way. Because it did kind of make me think, would this have been a better game if it was a hack and slash? Like, maybe instead of doing these specific things, like, you would just kind of hack your way through a meter or something, or maybe do something unique with that, or a hybrid of like a puzzle and a hack and slash or something. I love the world. I loved how creepy and empty and off it is. There were a lot of moments where I was getting lost, where like the area where the geysers was actually kind of scary. When I was going in there, I was like, oh shit, something's gonna happen if I just walk down. I almost thought that was where the final boss was. And I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna like see that, but no, that was somewhere else. Whatever. So I liked a lot of what the stuff that was in the game, and the gameplay wise as well. I think it played way better on the PS4. So I would give it. I kind of want to give it like probably like a 3 out of 5. I mean, I might bump it to a 4. It's just I do think that some of the bosses that are kind of similar, like the 2 snakes, one in the air, one underground, one in the ocean. It's like I don't need to see that 1,000 times. And some of the Colossus I thought were a little too underwhelming to be like, wow, this is a Colossus. Like the one with like the weird eyes that you have to hide behind a block and it does like this big attack. That one was kind of like lame. It's like, oh, okay. Like I thought it was gonna be way cooler than it actually was.
Yeah. Storm says we're being harsh, and I kind of agree that it sounds harsh, but I'm saying from like my enjoyment of the game is not where, like, I think it's a good piece of art, but like from what I want out of a game, it wasn't what I wanted. So
yeah. I mean, it did land where I kind of expected this game was going to be, so I wasn't disappointed. I know like a 3 out of 5 sounds like a bummer of a score, but it's not a 3 out of 5 like, oh well, this game was kind of dull and boring and whatever. It's just a 3 out of 5 because it just I still I'm grappling with I don't know if it overstayed its welcome. Like I don't know if it's like, because at first I was like, oh, 16 bosses, wow, that's really cool. Then it's like, well, maybe it didn't need to be 16. So I don't know if it's like if the amount of bosses was right. I'm glad they didn't stick with the 46 bosses it was gonna have. That would have been fucking. I would have stopped playing. That just seemed way too insane. Like, just the length just didn't make sense. I do think it's an overall like solid game. I would recommend it to everyone. I think it's worth playing, and it's a definitely a game I'm definitely gonna go back to at some point. I do want to go back to it, play on hard, and all that stuff. It's not one of these games that's like, I experienced it. I don't need to play it anymore. It's like, I might want to go back to it at some point. I do think there's,
I'll never play this game again.
yeah, I mean, there's something in it that does connect to me on some level. Like on some level, because like it's just the nightmare aspect of the enemies are. It's just that was stuff that kind of like what I pictured like the monsters as a kid. Like, oh, turn off the lights and monsters come out. That's the monsters I was kind of picturing. Were those, and I just loved how creepy it is. Like, I still look fondly at the final boss just as a visual standpoint. I do like how the final Colossus looked, just like fucking Satan standing up there. Even though like it's not really that intimidating once you realize how to get on it. It's like, oh, it's just gonna stand still, and it looks like I kind of admired that it's like a guy in a dress or whatever, like this big thing, but it's like, why does it have legs? It was just never gonna use them. Like
No, it stands there.
Yeah,
that's weird. I didn't even think about that.
I was like,
just chilling.
Yeah, like I thought that one was gonna have more of like a face to it, because I swear I thought like where the dress was like turrets or some shit that was shooting out. But it's like, no, it was the hands the whole time. I guess I couldn't see it because of the graphics. But it's like, right. I thought it was much more grandiose than it actually was. But I still loved its design. Like, I loved that it did look like a demon. Like, I think at that point, I'm glad I remembered this before we ended on it, is that all of them look like animals throughout the whole game. Yeah. And then that one is the only one that's like a humanoid, but it's also demonic. So that one kind of like it teases what you're actually doing and what these things actually are. They're not animals or anything. They're just things that sealed away Dorman's power. And so I like that. I like that a lot. I think, you know what? I might change my score, actually. It's a 4 out of 5. Yeah. After I said all that, I was like, actually, yeah, that's rad. So it's 4 out of 5.
Yeah, that's what I want to say is just anyone, if you're going to listen to my opinion, take it with a grain of salt, knowing that I don't really appreciate the art that much. Like, I know it's good, like objectively good, but it doesn't, like, that visual style does not connect with me that much. And then from the game perspective, like, I wanted to do some bang bang, shoot him up, stab him in the face, not this like methodical, like get him to a certain spot so you can get to a certain spot and stab. Like, it's just not my cup of tea. Like, and that's why I like Ico a little bit better, because it's more honest of like, you are just leading this woman around and you're meandering through levels. Watching Shadow of the Colossus, I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to be like, like fast reaction time stuff. And it's like, the reality of it is you might get smashed with a giant club and you survive it. And I'm like, all right. And like, another thing I didn't mention is I really was trying to do like unconventional ways of defeating the bosses. Like, I tried to use Argo to like launch myself up onto the arm of the Colossus with the club. That didn't work. Like, I could
I did that a lot, so many times. Like, what's the point of having the horse here then?
Yeah, it's just like, you know, I thought it was going to be more of an action game, and it wasn't. So take my opinion with a grain of salt.
I do think it's interesting, though. I think, like, in some ways, maybe Shadow of the Colossus was used to trick people into buying Ico. Like, they play this game and like, oh wow, what did this guy do before? And it's like, oh, it's Ico, and then they get into it. And I think that's why they bundled it in the remaster. Does it give you both games because they're so closely related? And it kind of bums me out they didn't do that for the PS4 version. It's just Shadow of the Colossus, and they left Ico on the PS3 to die, pretty much. It's like, okay.
But it makes you wonder if they haven't tricked you in some way to make, or why they haven't done that for his first 2 games. Because Ico is actually his 3rd game.
Oh, right.
He's two games before. There's like enemy type D in some other crazy game, and then there's Ico, then there's Shadow of the Colossus, then the last shit.
And then he retired.
Right.
Well, I would say it's better he went out with a bang, but I mean, he could end up like Kojima and just not make a good game in like 15 years.
Hey, he's gonna
and
make a
flop
cloud.
after flop
He's
after
gonna
flop.
make a cloud game on Xbox, so that's
But
something.
yeah, because that's gonna be so great. Kojima
Uh,
hasn't made a good game since MGS3, and everything he's made since then has been trash.
You don't think MGS5 is good?
MGS5 is garbage.
Gameplay wise,
Really?
it's good to some degree.
MGS4 was pure shite, and then I thought, wow, they can never make an MGS game worse than this. And then 5 came out, and I was like, well, I was wrong. Kojima outdid himself.
Hey,
5
Peace Walker is
is
cool.
good gameplay wise, the story stinks, but who cares?
Yeah, that's pretty important in a game.
I don't agree
In
at
a
all.
big story-heavy game.
That's the one thing that the Shadow Colossus thing that I was like a 5 out of 5. Story was great because there basically was none. But like,
Well, see, there you go.
like,
You must
but there
love
was a
Breath of the
story, though.
Wild.
There was a story and it paid off way better than like, you know what I mean? Like they just
Than
had very
MGS5?
little tidbits, and it's like there's the story. That's how I think all video game stories should play out, like Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. They're barely there. It's like play the game, let the story play out in the fucking game. I thought that was the one thing I thought was perfect. And to address something Storm said, yes, it is because of the misleading gameplay. More like it's more that I wouldn't have played this game if I had known it was like this, or maybe I would have appreciated it more with the expectations set. But like, it's an interesting game to look at. But to me, I didn't have that much fun playing it.
So I
it
added
was-
all our scores up. It's an 11 out of 15. If you did 5 for each, so 11 out of 15. That is grade wise a 73. So sadly,
Pretty good.
it passed, but it's not an A plus. So it's not gonna get far.
I mean, it's
not going to
no
med
Persona
school.
5, which is going to get 99, And
Oh
so.
Jesus!
It'll get 100 on October 21st when it comes to PC, and then it's 100 out of 100.
Yeah, and another thing I want to say is like, and this might be nitpicky, but I don't think so because I think a small change would have like enhanced my enjoyment a lot. Like, first of all, the camera is probably the worst part of the entire game. Like that bumps off the point.
Which of the two?
For Shadow?
Eco or Shadow of the Colossus?
Like, camera is unbelievably awful. Like why whenever, and maybe this is something wrong with my controller, but like whenever I walked on like stairs or something, the camera would pan downwards so I couldn't see where I was going. I'm like, this is exactly the opposite of what I want the camera to do. Like it would just go like above my character or something, so like I couldn't see in front of me. So that was annoying. And then the other thing is with Argo, getting on Argo was during a battle was the most annoying thing ever, because if you're not
Oh my
exactly
God.
right next to him and you press triangle, you fucking jump. And it's like, this might be a nitpick, but it's like all they had to do is make the collision area a little bigger so I get on the fucking horse. Because there's never a time in the game where you're near this horse where jumping is more important than getting on the horse. You know what I mean?
Wait,
Like,
so
that
to get on the
was one of the
horse is
The controls.
wait, so to get on the horse is the same button as the jump button?
Yes. On
They-
the PS3 version.
Oh, they changed it on the PS4 version then, because that's a
that
completely
was
separate
insane.
button.
So that wasn't a nitpick. That's some genuine fucking.
Yeah.
Something that they changed for a reason, pretty
Well,
much. Yeah.
that's what I was
Yeah,
wondering, because I opened it and in the control settings said modern controls, and I was like, oh, okay.
There you
So
Yeah, it was
I can see
super
why.
fucking annoying. It was like it wasn't like that much of a bother, but it was just annoying enough that I was like, just get on the fucking horse, guy. Like,
all
stop
right.
jumping.
So I think
I will say that there is one thing about your camera complaint, Charles, that you don't realize. You were saying like when you're going up the stairs, the camera will go above the character to look
Yeah.
down. Yeah, so the reason it does that is because looking forward and seeing where you're going is a crutch for noobs. So no one wants to see that kind of thing. You should just be able to play normally without looking at that. That's scrub gameplay. I mean, that's
Whatever,
Skullgirls tier gameplay.
oh. Get on Skullgirls. I'll show you like how scrubby it is with my
Hey,
pro
I
strats.
got a free copy of Skullgirls the other day.
Oh, sweet. Okay, we can definitely play then, and you're gonna see how hard it is to beat my Umbrella and Annie team. That team's going
Considering
places.
I've never played the game. That wouldn't be too hard.
Oh no.
I mean, Umbrella's
No,
some
I
scary
mean
combos.
it wouldn't be too hard to see how Tio would destroy me in it because I've never played it.
So I think we're ready for the next game club game. And since Retro's
Yeah,
here, I
well-
might as well include him on this. We were gonna do a whole like I'll give him like another shitty game, but I think we can
No, I think we should give Retro another shitty game. I like
Okay,
this.
and never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry, Retro.
Because-
Also, what you're gonna make me play MGS 4 and 5? Are you?
No, Death
Oh,
Stranding
well-
director's cut.
I think it's important that we give Retro a game that is related to the game we're playing.
That's what
Well,
I was
it-
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like this, especially because usually, like, this is kind of late for you, Retro, isn't it?
It's only 11:15 at night.
But like,
I'm still gonna be awake for another 2 hours.
But we're regularly doing this at 7, right? Like, so
Yeah,
that's usually
That's like maybe 30 to 40 minutes before I usually go to bed. That's why
Right.
I start in and then I'm out.
right. So that's
Okay.
why I think like Retro should have something different because he might not be able to join us for the regular.
Oh,
episodes, right?
okay. Okay, that's a good idea.
But Retro, if you want to
Also,
stay
Tia-
on past your bedtime, I'd love to have you.
Past my bedtime. I'm a grown man, damn it. I can do what I want when I want.
Storm wants to do Final Fantasy VIII for the next game.
I
Well, see,
started
I'm
that
already,
game.
I'm already
and I-
streaming Final
dropped
Fantasy
it.
VIII as it
And
is.
I
so
literally
think
just
that's
beat it
fine.
last year.
Okay.
I've never finished. I have a sordid history with that game, and I've never actually finished it. And now is my one time to commit to doing it. That's my like main stream game at the moment.
I started that game and I kind of loved it. I love that they call your demons like GFs. So I was like, oh, we got a girlfriend, guys. So I named all these.
That's why Theo loves it. That's why he like Eco.
So I was like, so I named a lot of demons after like stream regulars, but I think I put one of my demons with one of the characters you get at the beginning of the game, and I don't know if you'll be able to get it back again. I'm like, oh shit, is this demon gonna
Yeah,
be
you
stuck
can
with?
always take them off.
But it's the one that's like, I think it's like your teacher or whatever, and she like leaves the party, and then it's like bad shit happens, and it's like I don't know, I didn't make it that far. I played like a very like intro. I just got to like the island or whatever, and then that was it. It's like okay.
Oh yeah, I know where you are. Yeah, you can actually still remove them from her in the menus in that one. at
'Cause
that part.
I tried, and it was like, no, she's not in your party. You can't do it. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
You can't do it like in the normal junction window. You have to go to like the exchange window and do it a different way.
Okay, I think that's might be my major issue with Ace. So much fucking. I feel like I need like a booklet just to play that game. It's like I've never played a
Final
game.
Fantasy?
Yeah, it's like so much shit.
It's not that complicated. You just need to get used to it. It's not that.
I guess it's the way that they
It's
teach
still
you.
a bad game though.
I think the way they teach you this stuff, it's like
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's like, to do this, you have to go outside. Then you press start. You gotta look at this menu, but this menu can only be accessed by that menu. But that menu can only be activated by this other menu. But it's just a bunch of nonsense. But anyways,
The tutorials are a bit out of control in that game.
Anyways,
Retro. We'll have to talk about this later because I could go off about Final Fantasy for a while. Maybe I'll talk shit to you on your next. When are you streaming FF8?
Tomorrow at 8 p.m. BST. I think, assuming you're on the same time zone as Theo, that is 3 p.m. for you.
3 p.m. I'll probably be at work, but I might jump in and just start shit talking you.
Well, I'll be going for about 4 hours anyway. So.
Oh, okay, great. But yeah, so I have things to say about Final Fantasy VIII, but we'll just table
my
that
God.
because we have to figure out what we're gonna play.
all right.
Yo, Theo, did you say Death Stranding Director's Cut?
Oh well, that was the game that I was gonna give you to play.
Yeah, because I just
Oh.
finished that 2 days ago.
Yeah, play it again on the highest difficulty.
No, I will never, ever play that game again.
With Max
that is so bad.
Cargo.
0.5 out of 10.
Wow.
And the only reason it gets the 0.5 is because Mama and Fragile are hot as fuck. And that's it.
Wow.
It gets a 1 out of 10.
Even
because
with
they
her
get a
old lady
0.5
body,
each.
you thought that was hot?
I don't care. She can wear her biker outfit. I'm surprised you don't like that. I mean, that's straight up Makoto.
What?
That's think of
She's
think of
not
her, Fragile's outfit. That's like straight up Makoto's
talking about her
gear from-
outfit. Okay, okay. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
about to say, well, I don't know. I mean, she's not an old lady. Like, what happened to her?
No.
Fragile,
I'm
that's totally
talking
different.
Fragile from the neck up and biker gear from the neck down. Yes, please. I don't care that it's spiky. I can deal with that. And Mama looks like Hot Liana, so I'm all right with that too.
Okay, fine.
Wow.
Man. Well,
Okay.
Actually,
Well,
since
first off, it would make more sense. Decide what you're playing for your next one.
yeah,
Then we
yeah,
can
that's
find a
what I was
spin-off
gonna
kind of thing
say.
for that.
But if because initially I was gonna say like Death's Door because like that game I feel like I want to play it again anyway. But if we want to keep it relevant to retro, I mean I guess you could do like Titan Souls because Titan Souls is also like the same developer. But
I
Titan
have Titan Souls.
Titan Souls is one that I've wanted to beat. I have it. I started playing it. It's really hard, but I would love to play that.
well, yeah, but I was
Would you rather play what's Death's Door about?
Death's Door is it's the same developer. You play as like a crow and you're just kind of killing it's an isometric game. You go around just reaping people's souls for
Okay.
like there's this whole thing going on that's like what is this door? And this one crow tells you like, well, if we gather enough souls, we can open this door and see what's on the other side. And so this world that's like not that death has not occurred for years, and there's this whole like conspiracy as to why nothing dies to it. It's
Okay.
weird story wise, but the gameplay is kind of rad. I really love the combat. The combat is like really rad. Like there's parts where you go inside a chest, and there's a whole like gauntlet of enemies you have to fight, and then they give you an item at the end. There's one optional one that's like really fun to do. It's just the secret
Okay.
ending is kind of a
Have you
pain in the
already
ass to
beaten it?
get. I have beaten it, but I'd be down to play it again. But if
play a game you played,
Okay, okay.
it came out last year. It hasn't even been out for a year, and you already beat it, and you're gonna play it again?
yeah, well, okay, okay, fine then. Not that game. Since he's playing Final Fantasy VIII, I was gonna say we could also do we kept talking about Final Fantasy Zodiac Killer or whatever.
Zodiac Killer.
Ted Cruz edition.
You go around California looking for a murderer with fucking.
Like, hi, I'm Ted Cruz.
Zombie
said
says
3D
we could do like 3D dot game heroes. As
What is
well.
that?
I think
Isn't
that's.
that a PSP game?
I thought that was the one that's like a Zelda game that Alice made, but that's like a pixel 3D game. Charles can play Final Fantasy 9. Theo can play 7.
Oh, yeah, that way to 7, 8, and
I
9.
beat Final Fantasy 9 2 years ago.
So then you can do
Oh, so
7. I'll do
now
9.
you're going to be all feeling weird when the remake gets announced.
They're remaking 9?
Probably. There was an Nvidia leak at the end of last year, and it leaked like several dozen high-profile games that didn't even exist at the time. Many of them have been announced and released since then. So,
Okay.
yeah, it was on that list, just like Shin Megami Tensei 5 is coming to PC according to that list. But it was right because God of War was on that list.
That's cool.
Yeah, what about
Final
Bloodborne?
Final Fantasy 9 is better than Final Fantasy 7, by the way.
Yeah, that's wrong. I mean, but okay, you know,
We can talk about that one later. too.
if you said it was better than Final Fantasy VIII, I would agree. But you know,
Yeah,
many things are. I mean, I fell down the stairs once, and you know that's better than Final Fantasy VIII. So I'd rather do that again. But
3D Dot Game Heroes looks interesting. It's published by From Software, but that doesn't mean they're made by them though.
don't say From Software. Half the chat probably just nutted.
But I'd also play. I'd play Death's Door too.
You have? Oh, I didn't know that.
But
From Software.
no, I said I would play. But
From Software.
isn't it kind of weird for you to play something you already played? Unless you want to just do it again?
I mean, I'm fine playing games again. I don't mind. But if you want to keep it like, I can wait a little bit longer to replay that game anyway, so that's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, like if you want to keep it relevant to retro, you could do like Final Fantasy VIII, and then we could do Final Fantasy Zodiac Age or whatever.
No, I think we should force retro to play. I think we don't have to bend our games based on retro.
Or what
I
we
think
can
we
do.
could play Death's Door and make retro play Titan Souls.
Yeah, or the other way around. We play Titan Souls, he plays Death's Door.
Which one have you played? Death's Door Retro?
I haven't played either of them. I have Titan Souls, but I've never played it.
Which
So
one
I've
are
never
you
played
more
either of
interested
them.
in playing?
Well, I don't know anything. It's hard. The way Theo described Death's Door, I'm not even. I mean, the way he described it sounds like almost Binding of Isaac. But all I know about Titan Souls is it's some kind of boss rush game. I don't know what the gameplay is like. I just know it's kind of a boss rush. Hey, you know, when you think about it, Shadow of Colossus is a boss rush.
I just froze up. I don't know what you just said last.
He said that it's like Shadow of the Colossus as like Titan Souls is a boss rush.
And you fight giant enemies in Titan Souls too.
Hence why they're Titans.
Okay, that might be the move. And it's like a retro styled game, so this makes sense. I'd say we play Death's Door, Retros plays Titan Souls.
All right.
Does that work?
I can dig it.
Okay.
I'm gonna install it right now.
All right, perfect. All right, I think that's a good game club.
The game is 204 megabytes, and it's installed.
All right. See you guys next time. The Monday after next Monday.
Wait, so that's it? You have to sign off right now?
This is just the end of the official show. So.
Oh, okay.
That's it. We'll see you. See you guys next time. We don't know if Retro will be there. He'll be a wild card. He'll either show up or he won't. It'll be random. We'll just keep it that
You'll
way.
never see it coming.
Retro, if you can't come, you should pre-record your little segment.
Oh yeah, I could do that easily enough. Anyway,
did you take notes, or are you just that good off the cuff?
I'm just that good.
Retro's really good. I'm not even kidding. Retro's got some skills, man.
It's almost like I've made YouTube videos for years.
There you go.
Damn, man.